News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. The family has released the identity of the 21-year-old Lewiston man who died last weekend north of Preston. Joaquin Patino Cervantes was pronounced dead after drowning in Foster Reservoir along Highway 34. According to law enforcement, Patino was on a small raft approximately 30 yards off of shore Sunday afternoon. Witnesses said the raft tipped over and he went under after struggling in the water. And on-duty law enforcement personnel arrived on scene but was not able to locate Patino initially. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office, Search and Rescue, Ambulance and Fire District, and other law enforcement authority were all dispatched to the reservoir to join the search effort. They found his body about 2 hours later. In an obituary, family members said Patino was a Western cowboy who lived his life to the fullest. He loved the outdoors and would spend his time hiking, fishing, camping, and hunting in the nearby mountains. Franklin County Sheriff David Fryer extended the thoughts and prayers of the Sheriff's Office to the victim's family. He said even though Patino's death was the most tragic event, it was heartwarming to see such love expressed by the family. A GoFundMe account has been set up for the family to assist with funeral expenses. Patino's family wrote how the 21-year-old was fearless and took life by the horns. He was also mature and wise beyond his years. Funeral services are scheduled for tomorrow at 3 p.m. at St. Henry's Catholic Church in Brigham City. Viewings will be held tonight and then tomorrow evening from 5 to 7, and then Saturday morning, or make that today, this evening from 5 to 7 p.m., and Saturday morning from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Both viewings will be held at White Pine Funeral Services in Logan. KBNU News Time is 4:07. KBNU weather for tonight, mostly clear, low in the mid-50s, and then sunny around 90 tomorrow with southwest winds 10 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon. Sunny and upper 80s on Sunday before a chance of showers, much cooler on Monday. It's 88 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Roof Rescue. Visit roofrescueusa.com to schedule your free roof inspection. That's roofrescueusa.com.
Make laundry a snap with the large load washers and dryers at Mount Logan Laundry. Rather than 8 to 10 loads at home, get the job done in 1 or 2 with their 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers that are perfect for sleeping bags, comforters, and other big items. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
KBNU News Time is 4:08. A Logan home received a makeover this week thanks to the efforts of 36 volunteers. The home of Sandy and Keith Shaw in Logan was one of 30 such homes to receive a fresh coat of paint and landscaping improvements during Zion Bank's 30th annual Paint-a-thon service project. More than 36 local bank employees and their family members helped the Shaws with new paint, landscaping, and yard cleanup. The Shaws were nominated by the Meals on Wheels program to receive the service and were set to have their house painted last year before the Paint-a-thon was postponed due to the pandemic. According to Zion's Bank, the average age of this year's homeowner who received assistance is 75, with an average yearly income of $24,489. Projects completed during the annual week-long event were selected with the assistance of nominations from the public, state housing agencies, community organizations, and local churches. A church group has come out of a slot canyon in a remote part of Garfield County where they became stuck and had to spend the night. According to Sheriff James Perkins, 15 young men and 2 adult leaders entered the canyon south of Hanksville Thursday and were not able to find a way out. Perkins said everyone in the group returned safely. Officials from the Garfield County Sheriff's Office said deputies and rope rescue personnel responded to the canyon this morning. Officials did not provide a specific location, but it appeared the canyon may be near Capitol Reef National Park. Helicopter crews from the Utah Department of Public Safety took supplies to the group, and rope crews responded to the scene to help the group out of some difficult terrain. Officials did not say where the group was from or how long they had planned to be in the area. KBNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Taking news to an all-new level. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Nothing better than a good night's sleep and a comfy chair to sit in. And they can help with both those things at UNI Furniture. A therapeutic mattress or something from UNI's full lineup of Maloof will increase your chances of a good night's sleep. And for the comfy chair to sit in, you need to visit UNI's Chair Heaven. So many chairs at UNI because they carry so many styles and kinds of chairs. And shoppers are always happy when they see the prices at UNI. For a good night's sleep or a comfy chair to sit in, visit the place where there's always a better buy, UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
With so much financial uncertainty, are you wondering if your retirement savings will last? The market's ups and downs can keep you guessing, especially if you're approaching retirement or considering it. Your Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If you have more questions than answers about what's next, they can work with you to help ensure you're prepared for the future. After all, retirement isn't the end of the road, it's a new beginning. Call one of the 7 branch locations in Cache Valley or go to edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have 2 guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is a beautiful Friday afternoon, June 10th. Did I get that right? That seems wrong. June 10th. I know,
what it says
I know
in front
why.
Of me, Friday, June 10th. That's
I know
what it says.
why, because my brain is, So I plan to start the show today making sure everyone knows a couple of things because we've been getting a lot of questions from listeners about this. And I'm going to do this fast because we do have a special guest here in the studio. A great way to bookend our week. We started the week with Val Potter, candidate in the Utah House 2 race. We'll end the week with Mike Peterson, also a candidate and the incumbent in that Utah House 2 race. So Mike is here in the studio with us. I'm sorry, Representative Peterson. I hate when I don't use the titles.
I don't.
It's, I struggle the most with Congressman Moore. I've known him for years as Blake.
Sure.
And now that was a struggle for me. But just a couple of quick notes for listeners. There is some confusion about this, and so just to lay it out for sure, June 17th is the deadline to register to vote to get a ballot. In Utah, you can actually register to vote up until Election Day in person, but the only way the state says that they can guarantee county clerks could send you a ballot to fill out and mail back in time by January 27th, Monday, or June 27th, is June 17th. So June 17th is the deadline to get a ballot mailed to you. If you are this is, of course, these primaries in Cache Valley are all on the Republican side, meaning they're all closed primaries, meaning you have to be a registered Republican. If you're an unaffiliated voter, you can request the Republican ballot. You can affiliate for this election. But that June 17th date is not the deadline to register. It's the deadline to get a ballot mailed to you if you register or are not registered or are registered already but want to affiliate. Another quick note, if you've received a ballot already or didn't because you were unaffiliated and these are Republican primaries, that ballot can be voided and a new ballot issued to you, but that's something you need to do in person. So if you've decided to affiliate and if you're an unaffiliated voter, you've decided to affiliate to cast a ballot in these Republican primaries, but you have already received something, you need to go in, have that ballot voided, get a new ballot issued to you. So there are some windows of opportunity here still. Candidate events tonight and tomorrow in Hyde Park. There is a Utah House 2 event. And as I understand, Representative Peterson, you can't be there for this one tonight. Val Potter will be. Tomorrow, though, you will be a part of a Cache GOP organized everyone candidate event. That's noon to 2:30 at Green Canyon High School, right?
Yep.
And that is the Cache Republican Party has organized that. This is open to everyone. I've been telling everyone, remember, in Utah, the race is usually decided in the Republican primary. So even if you are not a registered Republican, can't vote in this primary or don't plan to, good chance to meet the candidates. Likely in these primaries, one of the two faces is going to be representing you, either on a county council, in Congress, in the Senate, in the Utah House. There are a lot of primaries. So I love primaries. I know sitting here with an incumbent, maybe you don't agree. They can be a bit of a headache, right? But
I will agree with that.
I really enjoy them, obviously, from the perspective of the show. It gives me something to talk about when we have this many primaries. But it keeps everyone on their toes. But my favorite thing is it reminds everyone there's an election afoot, because we do still tragically have some very low turnout here in Utah, not just here in northern Utah. This is statewide. And so I'm excited. This is a fun season. It's coming up faster, and I'm sure you, Representative Peterson, are aware of this more than I am even, but June 28th is not really that far away. How goes the campaign?
It goes great. We're having actually a wonderful time. There's nothing like getting out, knocking on doors, meeting people, holding town halls, meeting people, and there's this valley. What I love is this valley is filled with good people. I mean, really, these are good people who live in Cache Valley and who are concerned. They love their neighbors. They want to make sure that liberty continues. It's a great thing. I will say this, though. You said that there's some low voter turnout, and that is one of the
it's gotten better,
sad things that. Yeah, it has gotten better. But one of the things I notice as I knock on doors is that half the folks aren't home, obviously.
Sure.
And then of the half that are, there's a good portion that aren't even aware that there's a primary coming up.
It surprises me.
Yeah, it's a little discouraging, and especially as people are concerned about their society, about our community. We've got to be engaged. We've got to be engaged. We've got to continue to read the founding documents. We've got to continue to talk with these about our children, to our children. We've got to continue to do things that will. It matters who we elect,
especially in the local races.
Especially in the local races, absolutely.
I get frustrated because there is so much energy every 4 years for the presidential race, and I get it. Presidents can start wars. They can. I mean, it's an important job. I don't mean to downplay it, but. Your city council, your county council, your Utah House and Senate representatives.
And the school board.
And the school boards. Yeah. They can make decisions that more directly, the example I always use, your city council can put a stop sign somewhere where you hate it. And that's going to annoy you on a daily basis. The president can't do that. Yeah. So it's a trivial example, but really these local races are the ones that matter. And I wish that the energy for the presidential election each 4 years could go into a Utah House race, to a Utah Senate race.
Well, I worry that sometimes we become a little apathetic because sometimes it seems like it doesn't matter what I think.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what
it's easy to get
vote,
cynical.
Sure. I vote somebody in and I think that they're this way and then they vote a different way. or that they moderate, or whatever. I want to read you a paragraph from George Washington, if that's okay.
Sure.
I've given out about 2,000 copies of the Constitution this last couple of years, and I'm really intrigued by this statement that's on the back. It's from George Washington. He says, "A primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government. In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important, and what duty more pressing than communicating it to those who are to be the future guardians of the liberties of the country?" You know, our founders, when they first talked about public schools, they weren't talking about reading, writing, arithmetic. They were talking about making sure that the children knew the same things that they had studied. John Locke and all those wonderful philosophers, all the philosophies that came to fruition inside of the Constitution. And that's what they wanted our children to know. And the more we know and understand that, the more we're like, I want to be involved in this. Yes, I want to help make sure that, you know, if you read the Declaration of Independence, why do we have governments? Well, governments are to secure our life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Sure.
And the more we study that, the more we understand it, the more we want to be involved, and the more we can be involved, and the more our societies can run the way I think most folks want. Most people, I think, want to live their life and not have governments, city or state or federal, imposing on them. And the more they understand that, the more we study these documents, the better we can choose folks who will make sure those things happen.
And if you watch, you know, nothing gets someone involved faster than a local issue. You know, I've seen people go from, you know, maybe there was something in their city they disliked or liked, and it got them engaged. And then I've seen them now some of these folks that I'm thinking of are now in the state house or state senate. And that paying attention to those things, you currently represent a very unique district in Cache Valley. It's, well, I mean, I guess the South District is pretty unique in its own way between, you know, some very urban centers that have grown up over the years, and then there's still Paradise and Avon. But in your area, I was thinking about this today. In Utah House 2, it was Utah House 3, for those not familiar with this change. It's now is or going to be Utah House 2. Thanks to redistricting, the numbers shifted there. The district boundaries didn't really change, but the numbers changed. And so in that district, Utah House 2 is seeing some very unique growth. In that you're also starting to see these urban centers, for lack of a better word, pop up. But it's still a very open space agricultural community. And when we talk about that district with our listeners, one of the things that comes up again and again is there seems to be some tension there. There's excitement over economic development and growth, and new businesses coming to town, but that also means there's going to be population growth, and that means you're going to see agricultural land disappear. This is not unique to your district, of course, but it is something that seems to be a pressing issue for most people. You're going to, if reelected, go off to the legislative session, and this is, of course, going to come up in hundreds of different bills that will be somehow related to. How do you navigate that as one voice among many in the House?
Yeah, because sometimes we sort of are under the impression, or it's been said so many times that growth is good.
Sure.
And so
it's coming whether it isn't or not.
But sometimes we invite it even. Sometimes we ask for it. On the state level, we have tax incentives to try to bring companies here. And I've been saying for the last little while, maybe it's time to put a stop to some of those. Maybe we have enough growth from our children or grandchildren who want to live here. We maybe don't need to continue to invite or to attract other people to come here. Always happy to have folks here because, again, as we said a minute ago, this is a beautiful valley. People drive through through the Wellsville Canyon, and they look out and say, "This is." I mean, I just talked to someone last week who said, "I drove through that and said, this is where I want to live."
Sure,
and it happens all the time. But we do have to figure out how to juggle growth and how much water have we got?
Yeah,
how much infrastructure? Do we have enough roads to get over there? Do we have sewer to get over there? All those kinds of things. Do we have enough green space? Are there parks?
And, of course, how to pay for it all as well. It's very expensive.
And how to pay for it.
Build a sewer system or maintain a sewer system, right?
Because the money doesn't come out of thin air. Sure. Somebody has to, we're not the federal government where we just have a printing press back in the back room and we could just print cash. It has to come from somewhere. and so we've got to figure out how to slow some of the growth from outside. We want to have our children, our grandchildren here. Nothing's better. I've got one of my daughters and her family live 5 houses away. It's the most awesome thing to have them show up every day. Sure. All day.
It's a unique thing to Cache Valley.
It is a wonderful thing, and I want that to continue, and I want that to happen for everybody here. And so we do have to figure out how to, like I said, I think if we lessen the tax incentives and maybe stop a little bit of that growth, but I think that we need to gather together. And I was glad you've had Jack Draxler in here before. A good friend of mine.
Troublemaker.
Yeah, that's right. You said that last time too.
I say it every time his name comes up. No, he's a great guy.
What a wonderful thing that they are doing, and I don't know how it's going to play out, but they're looking at helping to ensure that green space remain here in Cache County
through a ballot.
That's right.
Shouldn't call it a ballot initiative. I'm spacing the word.
Some sort of a poll at this time to find out how supportive would be. As I've had opportunity to fly above the valley with friends who have pilot's licenses and they need to keep them updated, and so Mike, you're a guinea pig. Will you come fly with me for a few minutes? Holy cow! What a lot of green space there is out there, and it makes it wonderful. And we need to find ways to keep that. And,
sure.
Yeah.
That's. We talked a few months ago, with Mark Nold, state economist, and he said that, in Cache Valley, we've seen this 2 recessions in a row. Cache Valley, or Utah, fared better than a lot of other western states in these recessions, these last 2 recessions. And then Cache Valley, at large, fared much better than the rest of Utah even. And the northern part was one of the best parts in Cache Valley. And state economists said, it's food services and education jobs. There are a lot of them.
That's right.
But obviously, it can't just be that, right? It's something. So when you talk with constituents, with business owners, with mayors and council members within your district, what do they want? What do they see the next 10 years of District 2 looking like?
Well, I think my conversations with a lot of them are they want to see things slow down a bit.
Okay.
They really want to see some things slow down.
Would make sense.
They're feeling a real pressure that. We talked about affordable housing a moment ago, and there are
big issue.
Yeah, and so they're feeling a pressure to build these homes, yet there's no way to get traffic in and out of those homes, and there's no way to get water to those homes, and so they're feeling like, please help us slow this down so that we can get things under control before we're broken.
Sure. And the state's, of course, a bit limited in what can be done as well, right? The state has no magic wands to wave on this.
And I've said before, Jason, I'm a believer in local control. And first of all, I would say the most local control is myself, and then my family. And so I want people to have their own. When I talk about local control, that's where I'm at, is for themselves. But having said that, I really believe that we want, just like we want California to be different than us, right?
Sure.
Obviously, I think that our cities along, from Richmond and Cove clear down to St. George, we want them to have their own personalities. We don't want to have the only difference be how much snowfall they get, and so we need to. The state needs to really be careful about when they impose things on cities, because let them be themselves. Let them have their own personality. Let the city council that is elected by those folks determine what they want, whether it's liquor laws, whether it's growth, whether it's you name it. Most issues ought to be answered by those folks who are local.
It's interesting to see this one bubbling up because your opponent mentioned this. You've mentioned this. The candidates for Congress, actually watching the last legislative session, mentioned this. Was it frustrating to watch? I mean, I wouldn't call it a new thing, but there did seem to be a bit more of the state legislature this last year saying to cities, "No, we get to decide." Was that frustrating? Was that? I know you spoke about it once on the floor at least. And
it is
sounded a little frustrated.
So what I look at. See,
I'm not trying to get you in trouble with your colleagues.
No, that's all right. Hey, you know what? They know who I am. They know what I believe and what I stand for. And what I believe and stand for are, I try to align everything with the Constitution and our party platform. And so, I'll bring you back to your question.
Oh, sorry. It was kind of just. Is it frustrating to watch a little bit of this?
Yes.
This power consolidation in the legislature.
So what I look at is the only times I think that the state ought to be, stretching its muscle is if a city or a county are looking to reduce the liberty of the folks who live there. But by and large, we want them to do what they want, unless, like I say, unless we're going to limit the choices that people have. I really think that we ought to let local leaders, local officials, do their thing.
Sure.
They're the closest to the people. They can get voted in and out, and let's let them take care of it.
That's probably encouraging for a lot of people in the cities to hear right now. I know they were nervous. We did, Representative Peterson, I asked all week long for listeners to send questions in that you'd be here today. Again, mentioned this yesterday on the show. We're still working out the details on this, so nothing to announce now, but we are trying to arrange for an in-studio, we'll call it a debate. The radio format mandates more of a town hall, but we'll get Representative Peterson and Mr. Potter here in the studio and let listeners ask their questions then as well, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But hopefully next week, maybe the next or the one after. But I'll have an announcement on that on Monday's show. Here today, one listener sent in a question. It was a complex question. I'm going to do my best to rephrase it, but basically the listener was pointing to the recent constitutional amendment that changed sort of an earmarking for education funding that was 100-plus years old. It's gone now, and the listener said, as a representative, what could you do? And I would add this as one voice among many there in the House. How would you influence the legislature to make sure education is properly funded, whatever that means, but not only for growth, of course, which we have to fund every year. That constitutional mandate's still there, but for looking ahead for the future, for making sure we're not underfunding things like that. Would you support, a guaranteed mechanism for education funding to avoid some opportunism in a legislative session where they maybe kick a can down the road to the next body?
Yeah. Well, first I would say that while the constitutional amendment has been changed, it's more been expanded so that more hands are in that pot.
Sure.
All right. So it's not just been obliterated. It's just that there's a few more hands in that pot. But I want to respond to the basic premise here.
Okay.
I'm a believer that as long as we say that we are responsible for educating these children, we better act like it. We better fund them so that they can have the education that they deserve. Similarly, this last year we had a lot of need to raise the pay for folks who care for the disabled, the severely disabled. Now, Jason, I'm a pretty conservative kind of guy. I'm not one who likes to open up the wallet very much. These taxpayer dollars are hard-earned, and people are really stretching to pay them. Having said that, if we have folks who we have committed to taking care of, we had better take care of them.
Sure. And
similarly, again, with these kids, we had better take care of them. We are obligated to take care of them. So I don't know what the mechanism would be like or look like, and I don't know if what we've got now is can just continue. But in my heart, I say, how could we turn away from them? Now, I'm very supportive of public ed, but I'm also very supportive of homeschooling, of charter schools. I'm a believer that parents ought to make the choices for their children. But whatever we say we're going to do, we ought to do it correctly, appropriately. Sure. We ought to be fair and honest, and we can't skimp on taking care of our kids. If that's our responsibility, which it is, let's take care of that.
Yeah, that constitutional mandate's still there, right?
It is
to pay for public ed, and it's complex. Great question from a listener, though.
Can I jump in? You mentioned about the debate. I want to make it very clear that I'm more than happy to debate, because I know there was some misinformation this last week that said I wouldn't debate.
We had, for listeners, just to fill you in, we had the Representative Peterson's opponent in this race, Val Potter, on Monday, and he said that, I don't remember his exact words, that there was that they basically weren't able to organize a debate. And then posted on the Cast GOP Facebook page, Shelley Giddings, a good friend who's actually helping me try to plan these in-studio debates, troublemaker herself. She posted and said, look, as a party, we tried to plan one on June 2nd. That kind of fell apart. And then I know other dates were thrown out there, at least. I got copied on the text as a potential moderator, but... I wanted to give you a chance to...
I'd heard about the 9th.
Was that... I'm blanking
the
on
second
my
and the
memory's
9th.
shot.
And then you and I spoke, remember, in studio a few weeks ago,
Sure.
and we talked about, maybe we could do it here in the studio and how that would even broaden the audience. So I've never been opposed to heck, when I think about a debate, Jason, truthfully, I really believe I've done exactly what I promised I would do. I'm conservative. I promised I would vote to the Constitution and to our party platform, and I have done that. And if you look at, any conservative legislative scorecard out there, whether you're looking at CPAC or Taxpayer Association or Libertas or Grassroots Utah, Americans for Prosperity, I am at the top of every one of them. So I want a chance to talk about that. Sure. My challenger is at the bottom of every one of those. I'm always at the top. I'm more than happy to talk about it. And I understand...
Was it just a scheduling issue? Is that mainly what's been the issue? With not being able to get an alternate put together to that June 2nd date that
So there's the June 2nd, then they gave the June 9th. You and I spoke, and that was the end that I'd heard about it. So I've been waiting to hear back about when are we going to come to studio. So
there's one tonight. You're invited.
I just heard that. But it's
you
a
didn't
solo
just
one.
hear that. Come on.
No, I heard that today. No, I hadn't been invited to this one. Honestly, Jason, I'd never heard about this one.
I was copied on the invite, Representative Peterson.
If you'll show me, because I've never seen it,
I can show you. But yeah,
I'd like to see it.
You're welcome to come. 6:30. I'm moderating.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, come on down. Hyde Park City Building. 6:30.
Okay.
Will you be there?
I'll be there.
Perfect. It's a debate.
Okay.
I appreciate taking the time to come in. This is the time goes by way faster. You know this from other times you've been in. It goes by faster than you think. We've got to get to the news break, but we did have one other pop-up question from a listener here, and I'll throw this out very quickly. Listener said, this isn't specific really to your race, but maybe you have some information on it. Listener said that they had heard the legislature is considering expanding the session beyond 45 days. Is that true? I know it was mentioned, but it didn't get serious traction, did it?
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, no serious conversations
no
about
serious
it.
conversation.
Okay.
I mean, there's the people say, should we go to a full-time legislature? That's the only thing I've heard, and that's about a half a second conversation.
And that's it? Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, that'll be a relief. But I remember someone throwing it out during the session, but I didn't think it was a serious, So 45 days it's tight, I know. You guys have there's always something that time runs out for each session, but that's by design. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's like with every meeting, if you put a time limit, you know, you can only do so much, and then you're done. You can only do so much damage.
That's Representative Peterson, always a pleasure to have you here in the studio. And for listeners, again, Representative Peterson will be at the candidate event tomorrow night, 12 to 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. Yep. They're calling it Meet the Candidates Night, which I like. It is an afternoon event, 12 to 2:30 at Green Canyon High School. Literally everyone's going to be there. I've been told United States Senate candidates, the congressional candidates, Utah House candidates, the county council candidates. I mean, this is a big group of people, and everyone's just going to be there milling about, waiting for your questions, waiting for you to meet them, find out more about them. And you can do that in advance. VoteForMikePeterson.com is the website, and that is Peterson, E-N. VoteForMikePeterson.com. You can also find Mike Peterson for Utah House on Facebook, and I've linked to both on our Facebook page. He's got events planned outside of tomorrow's event. As I said, we're working on somehow planning an in-studio debate next week with both candidates. You can see where he stands on issues we didn't get a chance to talk about today. And Representative Peterson, as always, a pleasure to have you in. Thank you for making the time for KVNU, and for our listeners for tuning in. We'll be back after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:39, and the news is brought to you by the Duck Hunter. U.S. Interior Secretary Deb Haaland has rolled out guidelines for a new youth service program meant to create job opportunities for Native Americans while boosting their cultural connections to nature through conservation projects on tribal and public land. The Indian Youth Service Corps is the latest addition to the Biden administration's plans for building a 21st century version of the New Deal-era Civilian Conservation Corps. Projects will range from clearing brush to reduce wildfire threats to preserving historic sites. Haaland said today it's time for Indigenous youth to have a seat at the table. Nearly $10 million in federal and private funding is being invested in the effort. Officials in Idaho Falls have agreed to pay $11.7 million to a man who spent about 2 decades in prison after being wrongfully convicted. The Idaho Falls City Council voted Thursday to accept the settlement agreement with Christopher Tapp. Tapp was convicted of rape and murder following the 1996 death of 18-year-old Angie Dodge. He was released in 2017, and DNA evidence cleared him in 2019. Tapp sued the city of Idaho Falls and the Idaho Falls Police Department in October 2020. The city asked that the lawsuit be dismissed, but opted to settle the lawsuit on Thursday. And a woman accused of intentionally providing wrong information in the search for a missing man in Grand Teton National Park has been banned from the park for 5 years and must pay $17,600 in restitution. Park officials say Heather Mikoski reported last June that Cian McLaughlin was headed to a lake. Other sightings put McLaughlin on a different course. The Jackson Hole News and Guide reports that others told investigators Mikoski fabricated the sighting to ensure search efforts continued. Mikoski did not immediately return an Instagram message today seeking comment. Her former attorney in the case, Darcy Phillips, declined to comment. Searchers plan to continue looking for McLaughlin this summer. KVNU News Time is 4:41.
Did you just build a home or remodel your current home? Well, if so, John at the Duct Hunter says you should have your heating ducts cleaned as soon as possible and change out to a high-quality furnace filter. The dust from construction, sawdust, drywall, and more is sitting in your duct work. Your furnace filter is probably clogged. You'd be surprised what John has found in air ducts, toys, construction debris, and rodents. Let the Duct Hunter clean the ducts today. Call for a free consultation. The Duct Hunter, 770-4813.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear skies, mid-50s and sunny, hot around 90 tomorrow with some southwest winds 10 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon. Those winds will continue pretty much through the weekend. And then upper 80s, still hot on Sunday before showers move in on Sunday night. It's been to 89. It's 87 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. If your quilts and blankets have a musty smell from use this winter, make sure to use Mount Logan Laundry's large capacity washers and dryers located in Logan and Brigham City. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Amanda Boydston bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of financial advisor Clayton McMurdy and Edward Jones for Friday, June 10th. Equities finished lower on Friday as the latest data on consumer prices added to worries around higher interest rates and lower economic activity. The technology, consumers, discretionary, and financial service sectors were under the most pressure on the day, while utilities and consumer staples held up better, signaling a defensive heading into the weekend. Overall, stocks are still above the late May low, reflecting the fact that there are still positive fundamental elements within the investment backdrop. The Dow closed down 880 points at 31,393. The Nasdaq closed down at 414 points at 11,340. S&P closed down 117 points at 3,901. In commodity market, the price of oil was down 92 cents at $120.59, and the price of gold was up $23.20 to $1,876. In stocks of local interest, Apple was down $5.51 at $137.13. Autoly was down $2.95 at $75.74. Campbell's was down 7 cents at $46.93. General Electric was down $3.55 at $71.23. Home Depot was down $10.62 at $289.24. Lowe's was down $7.95 at $186.33. Nucor was down $3.49 at $120.17. Procter & Gamble was down 54 cents at $141.95. Thermo Fisher was down $12.94 at $526.88. Wells Fargo was down $2.59 at $40.08. Walmart was up 68 cents at $121.70, and Zion's was down $1.98 at $52.79. This has been today's financial market report brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advice, Clayton McMurdy, serving individual investors and personalized attention and financial advice at 1309 North Main in Logan. If you'd like additional information, you can contact our branch at 435-753-0537.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Do you have a nasty weed problem? We have the right person for you. Sir, you work for Logan Extermination, don't you? Can you help these folks get rid of pesky dandelions?
Of course I can help. I am the Terminator. I will terminate those little yellow devils in your yard. Call me at Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Terminate your weeds and green up your lawn for only $45, based on maximum 5,000 square feet.
Ah, that's better. Trade in the stresses of building a new home for relaxation. Visionary Homes' priority is giving you a stress-free building experience. Named the best home builder in northern Utah, Visionary Homes' team will guide you seamlessly through the home building process. Call today, 435-228-4702, or visit visionaryhomes.com to learn more about upcoming communities in Nibley, Logan, and Smithfield. Visionary Homes, built for living, built for you.
Moonlight Diesel is the kind of place that values hard work and honesty. They never put money ahead of people and are proud to be family-owned and operated. Serving Cache Valley for over 26 years, Moonlight Diesel is growing and busier than ever, and they're hiring. So if you or someone you know shares a passion for diesel trucks, they would love to hear from you. Stop in during regular business hours or email Julie at moonlightdiesel.com. Start a career with some of the best and most knowledgeable diesel experts in the industry. Email Julie at moonlightdiesel.com.
And on KVNU's For the People program, we talked to Chad Wright from Nibley City, Parks and Recreation Director there, about Nibley Heritage Days. All right, on the line this afternoon, we have Chad Wright. He is the Recreation Director for Nibley City. And Chad, thanks for spending a few minutes with us here on KVNU. It's June, mid-June, so that means in Nibley it's Heritage Days. And it kicks off this Saturday, June 11th, and then continues through the following Saturday. So what can you tell us about this year's festivities?
Bill, first of all, thank you so much for taking a minute to let us tell you about the traditional Heritage Days week that we have. It's always an exciting week. You might say it's the most wonderful time of the year in Nibley without snow. And our community just really has appreciated the way that we approached our city celebration, even through the thick of the pandemic. And everyone's just really excited about what we're doing this year. We anticipate full participation at all of our events, and we have some great opportunities for our residents and friends from surrounding communities even to just reconnect as we celebrate our Heritage Days week. I think, well, if we sum it up, the Recreation Department's mission is to create a happy, healthy, connected community. So like you said, we kick it off on the 11th, which is this coming Saturday. And we'll start with healthy. We have a community fun run, a professionally timed 5K with some great prizes, some fun and creative divisions, like a stroller category for mom and dad to race with their kid in a stroller. We have the funnest pair at the finish line, canine runners. And then we also have a free mile race and some kids runs too. And we have a lot of people that really enjoy that. That same day we have a disc golf tournament, thanks to Infinite Disc. They partner with us for that. And then the Saturday wraps up with a healthy and hearty laugh with our friends from the Antics Improv Group. So that's how it starts.
That's kind of nice. That's going to be at Nibley, at the Nibley City Hall there on 3200
That's
South.
right.
You're having that.
Yeah. Normally their regular season, from what I understand, kind of wraps up, as the USU school year ends. But they were excited about the opportunity to do something this summer, and we were happy to partner with them. And we've had a comedian before, and we actually had these guys help us out with some things last year, and we think that'll be a lot of fun.
Very good.
During the week, we have a couple of things. We have the Chalk the Walk that highlights some artists of all levels, really, that create happy scenes,
And you've had that pretty much every year, as I recall. That's one of the
nearly every year. Yeah, that's definitely a favorite. What we have definitely had every year, even this even started well before Heritage Days, is our Nibley Children's Theater. They're now in their 40th year. They'll be performing an original play, and they're all original. The play is called Sister Wishes. It's really a fun one. They explore dreams and wishes and joy and love and life. And long story short, these sisters learn about how to create their own happily ever after, which is really a fun idea. I think folks of all ages will really enjoy watching that presentation. That's 2 nights. That's the 16th and the 17th. And if folks come on the 17th, we have a community dinner just prior to that. And we're excited to have Firehouse Pizza. They're actually bringing some food that's not typically offered in their restaurant, but for really an affordable price, you'll have like a hearty barbecue chicken or pulled pork, some Dutch oven potatoes, and a salad and rolls and so forth. And that's always a fun meal before the show.
So really, the Children's Theater really has preceded the Heritage Days activities. It started before there was a Heritage Days.
Absolutely, yeah. They've really been an anchor, and we've kind of built around it. And some of the events have adjusted over time, just based on staffing and interest and what people are willing or want to do. But yeah, the Children's Theater definitely a staple. And it's really amazing what they can do in a few short weeks with kids. They start right after school gets out and work on this play. Dozens of volunteers helping out with that. And I'm impressed every year with what they pull off and how they present that, and the confidence that they build in the youth of our community. It's just really a fun thing. Speaking of fun, we partner with South Cache Quilters, and you can't believe the fun and beautiful quilts that they present at our City Hall on the Friday and Saturday towards the end of our Heritage Week. That's always
it looks
very
like
impressive.
noon to 6, both Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, exactly, noon to 6, and you just walk right into City Hall. On hot summers, people really appreciate a break, going into an air-conditioned room where they can just relax and see really some great artistry from some very skilled folks from across our valley, but mostly the south part of our valley.
Very talented folks here in the valley that do that.
Absolutely. The other thing that I'm very excited about that our recreation department department puts together is our family festivities. That happens after our typical parade that has, floats and bands and cool cars and a ridiculous amount of candy, of course. But our family festivities carnival is the Saturday afternoon of the 18th. Sponsored by Little Wonders Learning Center. They partner with us and offer some of that activity. But not only do we have delicious food trucks and other vendors, we have something called Knockerball. I don't know if you've ever tried that, Bill.
I don't believe so. No. I may have to try it.
You will. You'll definitely have to come in and climb into an inflated ball, and I'll show you what you'll do with that ball. But you basically run and knock people over. It's almost like a hockey game, but safer. If you can imagine that.
And no timeout, I guess, if you knock somebody over.
Timeout, yeah. And no penalty box, which
there you go.
A bonus. And then we have some friends from Duck and Dodge. They do a mobile Nerf battle experience, and they'll be offering this epic Nerf battle for anyone interested. And then we've got the National Guard there with their climbing wall. We have Little Sebastian pony rides and some exotic animals like a zebra, a kangaroo, a baby zebu, a yak, and all of this free. Also new this year, we're doing a ribbon cutting on our new playground.
Very
and we're
good.
pretty excited about that. In that playground, after the ribbon cutting, we're doing something called Nibley Chase Tag. So take playground tag that you played in school, Bill, and go next level and add points and music. And anyway, it's something that folks are excited about. You may have heard of like World Chase Tag. This is kind of our version of that.
There you go.
And then, of course, we have like your traditional Pioneer games that are always a hit, Tomahawk Throw and Two-Man Saw. And then something that I've really enjoyed putting together and our community just loves is our Nibley Ninja Warrior course that we introduced last year.
Wow.
And that promises to be a big hit as well.
And then you have the beard and mustache contest and the party in the park. It seems kind of wraps everything up starting at 7:30.
Yeah, you would think it's wrapped up, and it's nearly wrapped up, and I'll tell you about that. Not quite. I've got to clean it all up. That's the other thing. The beard and mustache contest, always a lot of fun. I mean, these men they inspire us all to greatness through their stylish facial hair. They always have some fun ways to present. We have some great prizes for them, and that's always a right. During the COVID year, we actually did the beard contest as a video presentation, and that was very impressive. And it was kind of a different level because doing it on video versus live ended up being kind of a different level of presentation. But it's so fun to just see them in person. And then we wrap it up at the party in the park. We've got some folks on stage dancing. And then we have a special guest that we're revealing on our social media next week. And then Visionary Homes has sponsored our fireworks show. We really appreciate their support. And then we wrap up the party in the park with a youth dance brought to us by Gaiman Orthodontics. And I know youth from Nibley and their friends from surrounding communities really enjoy that. And it's fun to watch the energy that they have and the energy that I miss after getting through this week personally. But then just because we couldn't pack it all into 1 week, we actually have an event that kind of follows Heritage Days, and that's our Monarch and Other Winged Wonders Festival.
We kind of ran out of time on our pre-recorded interview, but Chad was nice enough to email us some more information on that Monarchs and Other Winged Wonders Festival. It's happening June 23rd, 4 p.m. to dusk. That's going to be at Firefly Park in Nibley. There will be booths, there will be food trucks, local bands, nature and conservation-based activities, and much more. And also, Chad wanted us to mention, speaking of Firefly Park, the Fireflies are active right now. So that is going on every night after dusk. And you can check that out for the next little while. We want to thank, again, Chad Wright, the Recreation Director for Nibley City, telling us about Nibley Heritage Days, which kicks off this Saturday, and also some other activities surrounding Heritage Days. And now, Jason, back to you.
Thank you, Bill. And thanks to our listeners. Thanks to Representative Peterson for spending some time with us today as well. If you'd like to hear the candidates in contrast, by this evening, tomorrow morning, both Representative Peterson's interview today and Val Potter's interview from Monday will be available in the Podcastic Service subscription podcast for the show. I'll link to them on our Facebook page. Tonight, a candidate event at 6:30 at the Hyde Park City Building with Val Potter on hand and maybe Representative Peterson. A candidate event tomorrow, noon to 2:30 at Green Canyon.